You're tuned in to the best in paranormal programming. This is the Paranormal 60 News. There's something under the bed edition. That's right, news. And we've got you, the viewers, joining us tonight to share your scary stories. We'll do that next, right here. Good evening and welcome. This is the Paranormal 60 News. I am your anchor, Dave Schrader. We'll begin in just a few moments, and I do want to let you know that we have a lot of guests coming in tonight that are going to be sharing their paranormal stories with us. I want to begin this on a bit of a somber note, something I'm sure most of you are already familiar with and have heard on every other possible outlet from social media to news. But I felt like I would be remiss as the anchor and not mentioning, of course, the tragedy that took place in Texas. Since my three good friends are all based and living in Texas, I felt that it was important for us to acknowledge it because we've gone long enough not acknowledging things, hoping that things will just get better and they don't. I don't know the answer. People have been asking my thoughts and input. And again, I maintain I'm a paranormal radio show host. I want you to come here to escape the real world. But the tragedy and what happened not only to the children, but to the teachers, the brave teachers who stood up to try to protect these children, beyond measure. So tonight we're just going to take a few minutes of silence to recognize those that lost their lives in Texas. All right, we are here for an escape. We are here to be together tonight to commune as a paranormal community, to have fun. I have thrown open the doors to the asylum, and the lunatics have lined up to join us. If I did send you a link and you're having trouble getting in tonight, bear with us because we've got some early risers. We've got a lot of people who signed in very early. As a matter of fact, we've got a gentleman from England who signed in almost an hour ago at like 2 o'clock in the morning his time. He is here with us, going to share some stories. We've got a lot of great people. So again, if you're trying to get in and can't, after you see one of these people speak and tell their story, give it a few seconds. Once I disconnect with them, a line should open. I think I'm allowed up to 10 people in here, but I'm not certain exactly how that works. So it may be a little hit or miss tonight as we go. But I want to thank everybody for joining in early and making sure that they were here, their audio's working, their video's working. Let's get started. Speaking of working, ladies and gentlemen, from the great state of Texas, Eric Folsom. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Dave. Good evening.
And also from the great state of Texas, the Colonel himself, Martin Valles. Hello, Marty.
Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for joining us. And we are a pared down edition tonight. And Greg Lawson is out in a covert situation, filming some cool stuff that hopefully we'll get to hear more about in the future. But that's all we can say at this point. So we just are fingers crossed he's doing well out there and collecting some awesome evidence. And I don't know if he's already talking about it on his social media or what, but I don't know what the permission is at this point, so we're not going to say anything, but he should be back next week. He's just doing a lot of traveling right now. So we're going to get started, but there's no way to replace Greg. That's why we've invited the nation to join us. We've got people from literally all around the world that are going to join us tonight, sharing their share of scares. We're going to get to hear strange and unusual paranormal stories from around the world. But before we do that, let us begin with the news because we've got a lot of stories to get through tonight. And I believe the Colonel's up first. All right, yeah. Martin, what's our first tale of strangeness?
Dave, I got a good one here for you. Glenda Bosanko says that when she first found the modern home on Genie Road, She thought she was looking at her dream house, but it wasn't too long before things became a nightmare. I heard something every day. I heard something fall. I heard something crash. Yeah, growling, she says.
Wait a
Bosenko,
minute. Wait a minute. She's wearing a shirt that says Mother of Cats, and in
yeah,
her house, she hears things falling and crashing. I
and
have 4
growling.
cats. I can tell you that's all I hear in my house is things
Yeah,
being knocked over
yeah.
and crashing.
I kind of thought the same thing. I was a little hesitant to send you that picture, but yeah, maybe these are demonic cats. I don't know.
Could be. Let's
Could
hear what
be.
else she has to say. Yeah.
Yeah. She said one night in April, yeah, yeah. One
Hmm.
night in April, the crashing, footsteps, and banging reached their peak. I actually thought maybe it was an intruder, and I was here in the house alone. So, in case I was going to be murdered, I wanted some evidence, so I brought my phone. Yeah, phone
Good.
is
That's
what
a good plan.
that's the first thing I think of when I'm thinking
Right.
I'm going to get murdered that night. But Chris DeFlorio has been a New York City police officer for 18 years. In his spare time, he's a self-trained religious demonologist. It's basically the study of demons and the occult through a biblical worldview that has always been my worldview, DeFlorio says. DeFlorio and his wife Harmony say their nonprofit Office of Demonic Investigations grew out of their New York City homeless ministry, Seek and Save Outreach. After a few visits, the DeFlorios decided to attempt an exorcism. DeFlorio says as soon as he started the ritual, the air started to stink and a banging sound filled the attic.
Boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my
Boom.
room.
That's
It's
right.
not that kind of banging sound, I guess.
No, no.
All
It
right.
sounds a little bit more serious here. After a
Yeah.
few visits, the DeFlorios decided to. Well, I already said that, didn't I? It took a few more visits, and
Say it again.
But you said it
Yeah.
correctly. It's time to back up and try to miss a word, Marty.
I just,
All these
I
people listening are not getting drunk quick enough tonight.
well, the thing is, when I say a paragraph correctly, I just want to say it again. So in this case,
Repetition. I like it.
repetition. Yeah.
Hmm.
It took a few more visits and a few more blessings before the DeFlorios declared their work on the house finished. Bosenko says it was like night and day from when she was scared to leave her bedroom. After they left, the energy changed. It was like I could come and sit in my living room. So, does Glenda really believe her house was possessed by the paranormal? She says 100% real, and I would have been a person that questioned it before. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, DeFlorio says there's no greater calling than giving the gift of peace of mind.
Well, McRib sandwiches come in a very close second.
Yeah,
Say, she had a double
yeah.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's consider that because you can't just sign off on something and say that. But I like that, catching ghosts and crooks. Now, here's the good news: Chris is going to join us on the show as a guest soon. We're going to talk about his ministry and his work being a police officer and an exorcist. So that's pretty
great.
cool.
Does
Yeah,
he know Greg, the paranormal detective?
I don't know. If not, we're going to have to introduce them
Excellent.
and see what's going. All right, before we get to our first scare share that we're going to have here all the way from England, David Clarke will be joining us in a few minutes. I have in my hot, grubby little hands huge news.
Tell us.
Please.
Did you guys
Tell
just hear that?
Yeah, as a knock.
Wow. No, it was like fireworks went off outside. I announced huge news, and apparently my town in Minnesota decided to celebrate with me.
Well, they're listening as well.
Obviously, they should be. We've got some very cool news. People have been bothering me about this for the longest time, and I finally have some news that I can share. So I'm very happy to be a part of this. Let's start off with the fact that Discovery Plus and Travel Channel, Conjuring Kesha, and a sneak peek at what's coming this Ghostober. Discovery Plus and Travel have announced a bunch of new and returning paranormal content. Perfect for those of us who prefer our reality series to also pack a scary punch. Zach Baggins and Discovery Plus have a development deal in place. Eli Roth has delivered several projects, and Jack Osborne is putting his paranormal investigation skills back to work. Pop star Kesha also joins the paranormal roster with her new series. And the lovely Winnie's just clicking through these wildly right now. We haven't even gotten to the first one for her to switch to. But check this out. Ghost Adventures will be returning for more investigations. There we go. With Zach Baggins, Aaron Aaron Goodwin. That's the name that throws me. Jay Wasley and Billy Tolley, and Discovery Plus exclusive series Conjuring Kesha enters the ring as the star brings some of her famous friends along for the ride. The Ghost Brothers and Jack Osborne are going to be back with Fright Club, and you may see a familiar face on that gentleman. I believe I make an appearance in second season of Fright Club as well.
Ooh,
so I hope,
awesome.
I hope people will check that out. They've got terrifying paranormal videos they're going to be showing. Jack Osborne also back with Night of Terror. It's back with 2 episodes. In the first, Osborne goes searching for Bigfoot along with his friend Jason Mewes. So Jay and Silent Bob, that Jason Mewes. And the 2 are featured in a second episode, which explores aliens. Jamie Kennedy will join the aliens episode as well. So there's going to be plenty of funs along with the scare. In October, the Ghosttober event will bring premieres each night of the week throughout the month. Zach Baggins and company will host their annual Ghost Adventures Halloween special. And Discovery Plus's Shock Stocks are back. Returning for new seasons are Ghost Brothers Lights Out, Destination Fear, and the granddaddy of all paranormal investigation series is back. Ghost Hunters is going to be back on the air. And never fear, fans of terror, Discovery Plus and Travel Channel are continuing with the thrills and chills well into 2023 with even more returning favorites, including The Dead Files. Eli Roth presents A Ghost Ruined My Life, and Zach Baggins, The Haunted Museum. And Bigfoot fans haven't been left out. Expedition Bigfoot is also coming back for a 4th season. And ladies and gentlemen, the news you have been wanting to hear is about to be reported. Coming out later this year, The Ghosts of Devil's Perch.
Whoa!
Oh, yeah.
Look
Yeah,
at this.
Butte, Montana is gripped by a terrifying supernatural uprising, and in order to restore order, the mayor and the sheriff enlist the help of a paranormal investigator, Dave Schrader, medium Cindy Keza, and tech K.D. Stafford to stop the wave of unnatural occurrences plaguing this historic mining town. How about that, guys?
Man, cannot
Congratulations,
wait.
Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cindy Keza and I will be
Fantastic.
back on, and I have traded in one hillbilly for another, Shane Pittman from Georgia. I have now got Katie Stafford, also I
Nothing
think
but
from
love.
Louisiana.
That's
Right. So we've got all Southern love and hospitality on this. And finally, we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Conjuring Kesha, global pop superstar Kesha, has a passion for all things supernatural and has spent most of her life searching for answers to the world's biggest mysteries. Now she's expanding on her fascination with the unknown in a cinematic, hands-on paranormal series chock-a-block full of mysterious adventures. You can follow Kesha and some of her celebrity friends on a cosmic exploration of the afterlife as they travel to mind-blowing haunted locations and search for all things unexplainable. How about that? You guys
No,
watch it?
Man. I
Who brings the
cannot
book?
wait.
That is a huge
This
slate
fella.
of shows.
That's a lot of stuff coming, right? This is exciting times, a lot of good shows. I'm excited to have the news kind of out there. I don't know that I'm supposed to make that an official announcement because it's part of a much bigger, broader press release, and we haven't done the official launch for the new show. But now you guys know to keep watching for it. That's what you need to keep
Yes.
watching for.
Definitely.
That's
You know what
awesome.
else you got to keep watching for? You got to keep watching for an amazing book called The Other Side, a teen's guide
Wow.
to ghost hunting and the
I've
paranormal. And
heard
ladies
of
and
that
gentlemen,
book.
all the way from the UK, David
Woo!
J. Clarke. Hello,
Yahoo!
David, and welcome.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Hello. I was deep
Oh,
inside a really good book here. I just
I
happened to
like
pick
the
it up.
sound of that.
The best.
I like it. I am not. Listen, if you want to bribe your way on the show, that is the first way to do it. You've got our attention. All right, David, you are calling in from where? Tell us.
I am in Tiptree in Essex in England, and which we're just up the road from a very spooky town called now a city actually, Colchester, and that's where my scary tale comes from tonight.
All right. Well, sir, you have the floor. Tell us about your tale of terror.
Well, good evening, gentlemen, and welcome all the guests. So I recently just came back from the Red Lion Hotel in Colchester, and that particular hotel has been going since the 1500s, and the 1600s as the Red Lion Hotel. And recently we were doing a séance, And with the seance that we actually had, we had a group of 6 people, 4 ladies and 2 gents. And as we were going round, it's basically room 7 in the Red Lion Hotel. It's a very big old 4-poster bed, and we were doing a seance in the other part of the bedroom itself. And as we were going around doing all of that, we were getting kind of knocks and different. The room was going really, really cold, and just as we were asking out, we tried to keep all quiet and everything, and we heard some shuffling in the corner. And unfortunately, my shirt got lifted up while we were holding hands on the seance, and I couldn't actually, obviously, move myself out of the ring. So my shirt was being picked up, and we asked, well, is there anyone else here? Kind of pulling the back of my shirt, the tails of my shirt, similar to this one here, it's like a Hawaiian type shirt. And as we were doing that, we then asked, oh, is there anyone here? Can you actually touch one of us? And actually make us aware that you're in the room. And the lady,
wait a minute, so were you getting randy with the ghost? My shirt's up if you're here and would like to make your presence known.
Well, this is the thing, it got very cold around the back of my
That's my kind of hotel.
But the downside is I have the Robin Williams style of hair, I'm afraid, so I apologize for the viewers out there. Yeah, so that was standing on air and standing on the edge, and the lady next to me just screamed. She literally, we were still holding on to it for dear life in the seance and everything. But bless her, she screamed out. Someone had actually grabbed her hand. We had a couple of shuffles behind us, and there was no one else in the room. It was just us guys, and the actual was shuffling behind us. And I have got the pictures to send you, Dave, as well, of her arm. We can't see too much, but literally her arm was grabbed. And she then freaked out, and all the other ladies, not myself, by the way, all screamed out really loudly. And it was a really, really shocking experience. We don't tend to have too much like that. We have some knocks and bangs and things, but we had literally the one of our guests being grabbed. And obviously we try and promote the paranormal and everything, that it's kind of generally it's safe and everything, and you don't expect to. You'd have some calls and noises and things, but it kind of did shock the guests because they were kind of grabbed by the hand and by the arm on that. So
you know what they sound like they need? They sound like they need this team.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Me and Eric were thinking the same thing. I could see it in his eyes. They need that team.
Can they afford that team is the question.
Yeah, that's the question.
I don't think we could, but I have to say, there looks like there's a Star Trek crossover there. If you look back on Cindy's hat, there's a tribble on her head. So, so is that the ultimate Star Trek paranormal crossover? Is that there's
we're not allowed to go into that.
Right.
Not
or Star Wars.
I saw the NDA. I'm not going to say anything. That's
No, Marty, tribbles are part of the Star Trek universe. You've got to learn your place here. David, very cool. How long have you been investigating the paranormal?
Well, I've been lucky enough. I've been about 17 years on and off, and I've actually been with the current team for the last 4 years, ghost hunts events, and they are really, really good. I've got a great table tipping video from Landguard Fort on their YouTube channel, if you don't mind me promoting there, David.
Please.
And yeah, it was in the guardhouse in Landguard Fort, and that was rocking and rolling, and we managed to actually get it with really good evidence on that as well, which I'm quite pleased about. So.
Very cool. We'll have to show some table tipping video sometime on this show. Go ahead, Marty. What's your question?
Yeah, I know David and also you, Dave, have experienced a paranormal force kind of touching you or pushing you. Does it feel like actually like if someone was next to you pushing you, or does it feel more like a overall feeling that your body's just being moved by nothing specifically focused on any one part of your body, but just you're being moved?
Well, I was going to say for myself, it was with that shirt which was moving. It was literally like someone. That's going to sound naughtier than it means, but it was actually like someone lifting up the back of my shirt, which was not necessarily the best feeling I've had. But it was a Saturday night, so and anything's game generally,
Yeah, I hear you.
I like it. David, thank you for being a part of the show tonight.
No problem. Thank
Appreciate
you.
Appreciate it, David. Get some sleep.
Thanks, David.
Oh, yeah, get some rest. That was awesome. Very cool. All right. We will have more joining us throughout the evening here. So let's get started, though. I've got a kick guest. I always feel bad when I have to hit that button. It's not like I don't want them here. I just have to. It's the only way I can remove them from the room. All right, Mr. Folsom, you have the floor. Where are we going next?
Well, I'd like to start off by saying we are 20 minutes in, and I don't think there's really been any verbiage screw-ups.
Oh.
So I am going to drink to his accent because that's kind of screwy for an American, right?
Oh, ow,
Wow.
ow.
You mean the guy that was actually speaking English?
The right way, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good God. All right.
All right, let's do this.
Where are we going?
The Conjuring House in Rhode Island that inspired the horror movies is selling.
Yes. Really?
The Providence Journal reports that the Rhode Island home that inspired the Conjuring series of movies is expected to be sold to a Boston developer on Thursday, according to a spokeswoman for the buyer. Now, when I started reading this and I saw a developer was buying it, I got very worried. But good news is they're not going to tear it down. The Jacqueline Nunez, owner of the Boston-backed Wonder Group, has agreed to pay $1.525 million. That's $1,525,000.
Thank you.
Which had an asking price of $1.2 million. So it got considerably larger payment for this house than what they were asking for. But it's not going to be turned into a private property, McGrath said. It's still something that will be open to the public. McGrath said Nunez's interest in the property is personal. She has an interest in the spiritual. She believes that there's some spiritual activity that happens in that house. However, one of the conditions that the Heinzens set was that the new owner not live in the house year-round because the energy is so powerful. They put it in there as a protection for the buyer. She said she has been interested in the paranormal since she was a child and grew up loving a good horror movie like The Conjuring. The things that go bump in the night just pique her curiosity. The first film in the Conjuring series focused on self-proclaimed demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren of Connecticut and their investigation of spiritual happenings that the Perron family said had happened to them when they lived in the 3,100 square foot house at 1677 Round Top Road. In October, 3 members of the Perron family, Father Roger, then 86, and daughters Andrea, then 63, and Nancy, then 61, returned to the house to take part in a live-streamed paranormal investigation there, which I watched and thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
Other members of the family joined the event virtually from Georgia, where they live now, which would have been me. I would not have gone back.
It was funny when I was talking to Roger and Andrea after the movie came out, I led their panel at the Michigan Paracon. And we were talking about what was going on and the movie. And I said, what was it really like? I mean, were you guys very close with Ed and Lorraine Warren? And Roger goes, no. When they started doing the seance, I told him he better stop. And he said, let us handle this. We know what's going. And when my wife started getting possessed, I said, that's it. This is over. And Ed Warren got up in my face. So I punched him in the face and knocked him on his ass. Wow.
Whoa.
He threw the Warrens out. So the real story has been shown. And he talks about it in public. So I'm not talking out of school on that. But I was like, holy cow, what a tale to tell.
Interesting.
So, Eric, let me get this straight. So
All right, go for it.
these individuals buy the house for more than they were asking. But the people that were selling them the house said, there's a hitch. You can't live in this house all the
Year
time.
round. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right.
You know what? We live in a litigious country, right? And if they didn't say, hey, we think this might affect your life, they're probably putting themselves up for, a lawsuit. So I think it's good to at least cast it out there. If they end up doing it on their own, it's like, oh, you've been warned, right?
Yeah. Good
You've
point.
been warned.
Good point.
So it says right on the, don't directly inhale cologne because it can kill you. Now that's just out there. If you grab it once you buy it and you die, you're on your own. Mark.
Is that a real thing?
Yes.
Is that
You
right?
look on a lot of colognes, it'll say do not inhale because it'll kill you. So and you're like, but isn't that the idea of cologne and perfume?
And I put some on tonight for this show.
I thought I smelled you. You smell much nicer. It's weird without Greg. We've got 3 stories. Flawless.
The virtual room smells better.
All right, Marty. Things might change with this next story since we're in the movie news. Let's jump right into it.
I tell you what, I didn't want to send this one to you, Dave. I really didn't.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, but strange things can happen when a beloved character slips into the public domain. Upcoming horror movie Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey sure is a testament to that. The upcoming horror movie, which is not related to Disney in any way, turns the yellow teddy bear into a monstrous murderer.
And these
How-
are the actual photographs we're showing you, folks.
Yeah.
These are
Oh
the
my
actual,
goodness.
starting with this one. The other one was just a creepy graphic of a bloody Winnie the Pooh. This is an actual graphic from the movie.
Yeah, you got to see this. How is this even allowed, you ask? Well, the classic story entered the public domain at the start of this year, which means anyone and everyone is now free to do with Pooh as they please. That's a scary thought. Reese Frake Waterfield directed Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Dread Central discovered this week, and several first look images suggest a dark and twisted vision. No plot details are available at this time, but it looks like the movie centers on a killer wearing a Winnie the Pooh mask, or maybe that's actually a man-bear hybrid. A twisted version of Piglet also appears in these first look images, so expect a full-on perversion of the classic tale. This one comes courtesy of Jagged Edge Productions, releasing sometime later this year. The upcoming film's image page only notes that it's a horror retelling of the famous legend of Winnie the Pooh. And you better believe we'll be keeping our eyes on this one. That just destroys the whole Winnie the Pooh
Childhood thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Very
Like
strange.
Yeah.
I can't.
sure I feel
don't
about
even
that
know where
one.
to begin with
I
that.
don't-
No,
yeah,
neither do I. But
yeah.
I'm gonna watch it, of course, because I've got to
Yeah,
see
of course.
Exactly.
if it's
Yes.
clever and
Goes without
funny, or
saying.
if it's one of those movies that I love. The fact that like it went into public domain this January, and like they had already started filming it and they were ready. So as soon as they got past that line, so I guess anybody can do with Winnie the Pooh as they please, as long as they don't put him in a red shirt. So you can't follow Disney's additions to
The
to
actual
characters.
character.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are
Okay.
well, that's not the actual character. He was a naked bear. The original.
It's not that kind of show, Dave.
I'm not making up the rules.
Family
I'm
show.
just telling you.
Yeah.
All right.
But-
Well, let's add to the family right now. We've got Tracy Ann joining us for a scare share. Tracy Ann, welcome to the program.
Yay,
Hi.
Tracy.
Hey, Tracy Ann.
Hey, Eric. Hey, Marty. Dave. Thanks for
Hi.
having me and everybody at home.
Sure. Where are you located, Tracy Ann?
Springfield, Illinois.
Hey,
Part of
dun
Capital
dun
City,
dun
Illinois.
da dun dun da 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 dun.
Wrong
Springfield,
Springfield,
Illinois.
but it's
What?
very
Yeah.
similar. It's kind of scary.
Had something to do with Lincoln, right?
Yeah, he was not born here, but this is where he was for many, many years while he was a senator and was working in the government before he went on to become president. He left for his presidency from Springfield and then
Never to
returned
return.
here at his death.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, Tracy Ann, you are here to share a
Spooky.
story. So, what if I spin the wheel? Are we talking ghosts, alien, Bigfoot,
ghosts.
chupacabra? What have we got? Ghosts. All right.
Ghosts.
Good.
But
I
you
like
really
this.
have me torn with the Bigfoot because, man, have I got a good Bigfoot story. But you said I could pick one. So
One.
I'm going to give you the
You
ghost
can
story.
come back. Right. We'll have you back. All right. so
Anytime.
hit us. Yeah.
So I'm a registered nurse and I'm a travel nurse, which means I go all over the nation to work in hospitals that are short-staffed and fill in.
Okay.
And I had just started a contract in spring of 2016 at St. John's Hospital here in Springfield. And the morning I walked in to get report, you do your shift change report, you go in, you meet your patients, and you start filling out that little whiteboard that, you put your name, your phone number, kind of what the plan of the day is, when their medications are due, that kind of nursey stuff. Well, this little gentleman was standing over by the window, his little butt hanging out the back of his little air-conditioned gown that we charge you so much money for.
Sure.
And he was standing by the window just looking outside. And I said, "Good morning, sir. My name's Tracy. I'm that chipper nurse that comes in and you hate me." That's me.
I personally love those nurses. I love the
So-
chipper.
But I come in and just, "Hey, good morning. I'm going to take care of you today. My name's Tracy. Here's my phone number if you need anything. Here's kind of our plan." And he just turned from the window and looked at me, nodded, turned back to the window. I'm like, "Okay, quiet one."
Okay.
And I went on to talk to him, plan of the day. Let's, kind of straightening up the room. And he's just watching me the whole time. And he's solid. I mean, I thought I was talking to a person until the CNA came in. And she said, "Who are you talking to?" And I turned and looked at him. And he turned and looked at me. And I looked at her. and said, "What do you mean, who am I talking to?" She's like, "Who are you talking to?" I look at him. He looks at me. She goes, "Dude in this room died at 3 a.m. Who are you talking to?"
Oh,
No, don't say
Now-
that.
She turns around on her heel because now my CNA thinks I am. So it took me the rest of my 13-week contract to convince her I was not cray cray. 13 weeks.
Wow.
But I turned, I
13
looked back at that little old man, and he turned and looked at me and went,
And
and then
was
went
it?
back to looking out the window. Now, at this
Clear
point,
as
he's
day.
not- I thought I was talking to a patient. I was solid as I'm looking at y'all.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I said, "Are you waiting for your family?" And he turned around and he nodded yes.
Oh.
And I said, "Is it okay if I kind of hang out, stay with you a little bit till they get here?" I said, "Do you know where your body's at?" He said, "I'm real sorry."
Oh.
Wow. Wow.
And then he turned around to the window and disappeared.
Hmm.
I stood there for about 5 minutes because, I had to decide if I was going to go clean out my drawers now or get this later.
Yeah, Amber
And
heard it, huh?
I walked out into the hallway and I was floored. So I've been interested in the paranormal for many, many years. I mean, since I was a wee, those haunted house in Sycamore, everybody wants, that's where I was born and raised, Sycamore, Illinois. And everybody wants to go talk about the haunted house and the ghost. And so I've always been interested. That was my first, in my face experience. And it was magical and overwhelming. But it started me on a whole paranormal thing. And it's been a way of life ever since. It's amazing. And now that I'm aware of it, walking through the hospitals after dark, that's creepy.
The Kingdom of Bart wants to know if you were on medical marijuana at the time. Is there any chance?
No, and nurses in Illinois are not allowed to use the product because we get tested,
really?
and if it's in our system, we get fired and lose our licenses. And I was also a medical marijuana nurse for a company. I won't mention names, but we were randomly drug tested every 30 days. And even though I sold the product and helped patients get the product, if I tested positive, I would lose my nursing license. So to this day, nurses are still not allowed to use it.
I like how you called it product.
Right, product.
Well, I don't mean to put quote marks in there, but a lot of people have issues with medical marijuana, and there's I'm all for it, but this family show.
Yeah,
it is a family show. Tracy Ann, thank you for being a part of the family.
Thanks so much for
great
having me,
story.
y'all. Now bring me back so we can talk about Bigfoot. We got to go squatching.
In a few weeks, we will throw open the doors to the asylum again. You come back on and share your Bigfoot story.
I'm on it. Have a great night,
All
y'all.
right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tracy.
Tracy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
Wow.
That was sweet. What's interesting, Tracy, you could stay in the back room for a minute here. My mom was a nurse at Shriners Children's Hospital, right? For kids that dealt with spinal cord and different versions of paralysis. Well, there was a little girl who had passed away early in the day. My mom had been taking care of, and she rode that nurse button all the time when she was alive. And the nurses were really freaked out when my mom came on shift, and they told her what happened. And all of a sudden the light goes off, and my mom goes in and turns it off and comes back out. Light goes on again. So my mom goes, okay. And she goes in and she addresses the little girl. She goes, "Molly, honey, it's time for you to go. Okay. Your family's already come and gone, and we're going to miss you, and we love you so much, but there's a much better place for you to be now." Okay. The light flickered, went off, and then it didn't go back on again. So my mom, having that's the person I grew up under. That was the tutelage, right? My mom was just very calm and cool. Although there were a couple times when they were in the hospital at night and lights would go off in the hallway, and she would start getting kind of unnerved as she's walking, and lights are going down like a horror movie, when you're walking through and lights are shutting down around you. But for the most part, she was very calm and collect about all of this. Very cool. Great story, Tracy. Thank you for sharing with us. All right. We just kicked Tracy. She's going to have to watch like the rest of the kids now. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. And Eric, I know this is going to kind of break your heart because believe it or not, the Bigfoot Festival They've got a new ad.
I'm Phil Berrickman, and I've found Bigfoot and beyond at the Oregon Bigfoot Festival and beyond at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds. Meet me and other cryptozoology experts like Jason Hawes of Ghost Hunters, psychic medium Sarah Lemos, Travel Channel's David Schrader, and more. Don't miss this one-day event, the Oregon Bigfoot Festival and beyond at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds. Get tickets today.
Oregon Bigfoot Festival, come on, come on.
Are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Join us at a paranormal convention like no other. Admission is only $20 in Woodbridge, New Jersey for the 8th annual New Jersey Para-Unity Expo. Woodbridge, New Jersey, July 23rd. Only $20 to see stars like the Ghost Hunters, Jason Hawes, Sherry D. Benedetti, Steve Gonzalez, and Dave Tango. We also have Amy Allen from TV's Dead Files, Jawan Mass, Dalen Spratt, and Marcus Harvey. The Ghost Brothers are back in the house. Dakota Layden, Chelsea Layden, Tanner Wiseman, and Alex Schrader from Destination Fear make their appearance. You'll also get to meet and see Chip Coffey with a live gallery, Dave Schrader from the Holzer Files and the Paranormal 60, Cody and Satori Hawes, the paranormal couple, John Zaffis, the legend himself, will be on hand. You do not want to miss this. Plus, there's awesome vendors, psychics, mediumship readings, and more. Go to NewJerseyParaUnityExpo.com for tickets and information. That's www.NewJerseyParaUnityExpo.com. I also want to make a quick mention that I've got a couple of cool events popping up here. The Spirit and Sixth Sense Retreat, June 10th at the historic Palmer House Hotel. Shane Pittman, myself, Dave Schrader from the Holzer Files, Bill Chappell, the paranormal Tony Stark will be on hand to help build some new equipment that you get to take home with you. It's part of the price of admission. Sarah Lemos will be there to talk you through a 2-hour session on how to develop and utilize your own mediumistic skills, whether you believe you have them or not. She's going to give you a 2-hour talk on that. Bill's going to take you through a 2-hour experiment with this new equipment, and then there'll be a 2-hour talk on ghost hunting with Shane and I, and then we get to put everything we've learned that day to practical use as we ghost hunt at the historic Palmer House Hotel. And it's not just on that date. You can also come the next day, June 11th. We have tickets open on both days. Very few tickets still remain. So if you'd like to join us, you can get information at darknessevents.com. Darknessevents.com. It is the same program 2 days in a row, and we would love for you to come on out and join us and be a part of this. All right, let's get to it. Our next story, Jonathan Ross. Are you guys familiar with this English presenter?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, nodding, Eric, doesn't work well on radio. Yeah, Marty jumped right in. I like
that.
I
did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
He's lying. He has no idea who that is.
No idea.
Jonathan Ross recalls his terrifying encounter with a possessed and demonic doll. Jonathan Ross, a talk show host and comedian, has spoken out about a strange encounter that he had with paranormal investigator Lorraine Warren. Lorraine Warren, one half of the infamous paranormal investigative team, was well known for working on prominent cases of alleged hauntings, including the terrifying Raggedy Ann doll known as Annabelle. Now, I want to address this again for people that are still bitching about the fact that this doesn't look anything like the doll in the movie. That's because the people that own the copyright to Raggedy Ann, they don't want evil dolls associated with Raggedy Ann. There was no way they were going to license Raggedy Ann to become a killer. So, I mean, Winnie the Pooh, maybe. Raggedy Ann, not going to happen. Well, Lorraine's experiences, as we said, have been well documented, with both The Conjuring and Annabelle being box office successes that terrified audiences. Well, the presenter's own experience hasn't stopped him from being a skeptic, as he asks fans to share their spooky stories that almost certainly have a logical explanation. So my wife interviewed Lorraine Warren, one half of the supernatural investigating team they based the Conjuring films on many years ago. He told fans, "Do you recall Annabelle, the possessed doll?" Lorraine Warren's experiences inspired the film Annabelle. Well, she got to the part of the story where Lorraine said she had heard a demonic voice say, "Don't touch the doll," while telling a friend about the experience. And then the room's lights went out. Then there was a bang. We were in complete darkness. They all came back on after our friend said, "That's weird. I mean, it's a flimsy plot for the next film, but it's all I've got." While Jonathan didn't seem convinced that he'd had a paranormal experience, he did add to his tweet, seeming jokingly about himself, "Even if we don't know what it is, it's definitely not paranormal," according to Jonathan Ross in his quick dismissal of the strange activity that took place regarding the haunted doll that is Annabelle. All right, guys, we're going to join another guest into our group, another family member from the Paranormal 60 crew out there. Derek, welcome to the show.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, Derek.
Hey,
Good to see
Derek,
ya.
what's up, man?
How you doing?
Doing good, Derek. Where are you calling us in from?
Springfield, Ohio.
What, 2 Springfields? What are they?
What?
Synchronicity.
What is
Synchronicity
going
is
on?
loud tonight.
I
Interesting.
guess so. All right, so what kind of story do you have in mind for us tonight, Derek?
Well, I could go with my dreams about November 22nd, but I won't.
That's my birthday. You
I
dreamt
know.
about my birthday, Derek? That's sweet.
I was going to, but I want to be like the last guest and maybe come into another show and we'll talk more
Okay.
about it. But it's really
All right.
relevant to right now. But I want to go somewhere else.
Okay.
You guys know the actor W.C. Fields?
Yes.
Sure.
All right, I got a story. I have documentation for this. It gives me cold chills. So if I kind of stumbles, because yeah. So I'm gonna take you back to 2013.
You're filling in for Greg. You can't stumble more than that, so you've got it.
All right.
Good point. Good point.
Thank you so much. I got cold chills right now. Sorry. So 2013, I went to bed on the night of January 2nd, 2013. Woke up at 6:30 in the morning, and I had a vague dream of W.C. Fields. So my dream, all I did was walk through my kitchen. I go out to the patio. There was a younger couple, and one guy goes, "Hey, do you know W.C. Fields?" And I said, "What, the one guy with the nose, and he's some actor from back in the day?" He goes, "Yeah." And without a computer, there's a Google image of W.C. Fields that appears before me, and it's black and white. He's got a hat. He's got the nose. He's got that smile. I go, "Yeah, that's him. That's W.C. Fields." And I woke up. And it was about 6:30 in the morning. I usually make some coffee, but I skipped that, went to Wikipedia, and I read the entire Wikipedia page of W.C. Fields, wondering, why am I dreaming about a guy in the waking that I have no clue about?
Right.
And I read everything, and the 2 things that stuck out. Number 1, he died on December 25th, 1946, which is Christmas. And at the time, I consider myself a Christian. And I said, why is there an atheist in my dream who died on Jesus' birthday, right? But here's where it gets odd. His burial was January 2nd, 1947. So why in the world am I dreaming almost 66 years to the day of his burial? I thought it was this odd. So 4 hours later, my wife at the time gets a phone call from our home builder, or the foreman for the home builder. We're having a house built. And he says, sorry, last night, the owner of the company died. He was playing volleyball. He was 56 years old and playing with his daughters and the rest of the church group, dies of a heart attack. And I'm like, no. And his last name starts with a W, because that's what kind of hit me, like W.C. Fields, W. His last name was Weaver. And I was sad because, we were good friends, so forth and so forth. It's going to get good here, Deb, and scary. Okay, so the very next day, my wife and I, we go to Olive Garden. I get a text from my mom, who's watching. Hi, Mom. And she goes, Aunt Marta just passed a few minutes ago. Now, that's a result of a heart attack she had on December 28th. And her maiden name's Weaver. So back-to-back Weavers, 3rd and 4th. I started, things happen in 3s, right? I got cold chills right now. And I started going to this church at this time. It was a Pentecostal church that was literally down the same street that I lived on, my wife and I lived on. And I was helping out with the food pantry. And I took the pastor and his wife aside and I said, I got to tell you something crazy. So I told them everything I just told the listening audience and and I wanted their opinion. Like, what's going on here? This isn't normal.
Mm-hmm.
And the pastor was speechless. He goes, I don't know. The wife, she was very vague about her interpretation, and I respect her, opinion, but I just didn't feel like whatever she said, matched what was going on. Everything I just told you guys. A week later, he calls me on a Thursday, and he says, I checked myself into the hospital because I've been having some pains right here and some tingling, and I've been getting tired. Like, he'd be doing some work or something, and 10 minutes later, he'd be tired. Come to find out, he's got clogged arteries. He's going to have open heart surgery that following Monday. He asked me to pray for him. I said, oh, yeah, I will. And I got a little scared thinking, is he number 3? Is he number 3? So I prayed. Monday came along. He survives. I'm like, whew.
Okay.
It's going to get, I'm tying in here. So I visit him on Wednesday. He recovers. It took him about 5 months before he got back into the pulpit again. And then I didn't even see him. I haven't seen him since 2013. So after we go into 2014, I wondered what the heck was all that in 2013. Okay. Still don't know why there was those synchronicities. 2014, 2015. So basically we get to 2018. And I just lost an uncle and an aunt on December 14th, 2017. And by the way, Dave, my clock behind me, my digital clock, on the day my uncle died, my digital clock stopped. When I say stopped, it went from, let's say it's 3:45 in the afternoon, it reverted back to 12 and didn't move. So 60 seconds goes by, it ain't moving. I unplugged it, plugged it back in. The thing was like that for a week, and then it started working again, which I have footage of. And then 2 weeks later, on a Thursday, on December 28th, my other aunt died, and I was thinking, who's the third? Now, coming to the conclusion. So February 1st, I checked my hometown newspaper obituaries. I'm originally from outside of Mansfield, Ohio. You guys probably have been there. Mansfield Reformatory.
Yeah, I was just there last week. Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I can document all this. So February 1st, I'm looking at my hometown newspaper, Mansfield's New Journal, and guess who I see? The pastor. The pastor's obituary. So he lived to be 70. He died of cancer. And he died on January 29th, 2018. And guess what day that is? W.C. Fields' birthday.
There it is.
That's bizarre.
It took you're telling me 5 years. It took 5 years that here I am. I told the pastor about this dream. He had no clue. And by the way, let me add a couple more things. His last name starts with a W. Right. W-R-I-G-H-T. And he was born 1 month on November 25th, 1946, a month before W.C. Fields died. So when I told him about that dream, the pastor was 66 years old also at the time. So he dies. What are the chances? He dies 5 years later on January 29th, 2018, on W.C. Fields' birthday, who's an atheist.
Very strange. So now are we at the point? So he's become like Freddy Krueger. If you see W.C. Fields in your dream, deaths are going to start showing up. I like this. This is a new movie serial we can make.
They did poo. They did poo. Winnie the Pooh.
And that's the thing. I've never had any other W.C. Fields dreams or anything. I've had synchronicities, and I have a blog that I've been doing for 4.5 years where I've documented interesting synchronicities that makes you scratch your heads. And I document everything. I keep a dream journal. I timestamp everything, and you can look at my blog right now. I send you 2 links, Dave. You can read them for yourselves. You can go binge on it, and you'll find some stuff that will tear your hair out. And yeah, well, that's my favorite.
Very
one.
strange.
Awesome.
Well, Derek, thank you for staying up late with us and sharing that strange set of synchronicities and connective tissue. I don't know what it means, but man, I'm going to be, next time I see a W.C. Fields movie, I'm going to scan over it quickly.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very weird. Synchronicities are so strange. Speaking of synchronicities, talking about Winnie the Pooh horror movie, the fact that now W.C. Fields could be the next Freddy Krueger, we've got another story, and this one coming to us from Eric. Eric, you've got a weird movie-related story here.
I had never heard this before.
Mm-hmm.
Is Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees based on a true story? So reported by a gentleman by the name of Ben Hardwick. 1980's Friday the 13th solidified itself as a horror classic to the extent where 11 sequels have since been made. The simplicity of the original movie remains one of the scariest of them all, as they depict a horror that's somewhat feasible in real life. And so it raises the question whether or not the original Friday the 13th movie was based on a true story. A massacre in 1960s Finland shares eerily similar details with the movies. At such, some speculate it's where the see. I was careful. Go ahead and drink, everybody. I screwed it up. Yeah. I was holding.
Right,
I couldn't do it.
Hey, we're at story number 7, and you've made it this far. I'm proud. Or 6. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So go ahead and drink, everybody. I tried to stop myself, but I couldn't. All right. So during a Finnish summer, 2 15-year-old girls took their 18-year-old boyfriends, naughty, on a camping trip. Their chosen location was the isolated area of Lake Bodom, where they decided.
Lake Boom Boom.
All
right, everybody, have a drink.
Here we go.
We started the slippery slope now.
I've been sipping this vodka for a half an hour waiting for this story.
Lake Boom Boom.
Where they decided to set up tents along the lake's edge. The next day, a local carpenter stumbled upon the campsite, but looked inside, and guess what they found? A bloody crime scene. There it is. 3 of the campers had been stabbed to death, and one of the boys, Nils Gustafsson, was found alive but unconscious. Once police arrived, boy, I gotta have more stories in between. You guys are loving me now.
I love the band, The Police.
Oh Lord! Once police arrived, Nils claimed that someone broke into their tent in the early hours of the morning and attacked. And with his severe injuries matching up with the story, Gustafsson was cleared as a suspect. Strangest of all was Gustafsson's description of the attacker. As he was awoken in a tired state, he claimed to have seen a man dressed in black with bright red eyes. Of course, this didn't help the police in their investigation, and given their crude methods at the time, much of the crime scene was ruined by people casually walking over it. But with Gustafsson's creepy description, combined with the brutality of the seemingly unprovoked murders, it seemed as though these unfortunate teens had met their very own Jason Voorhees. Keep doing that in the background. I like that. The Friday the 13th murders at least had clear culprits, whereas the 1960s attack was a complete mess when it came to suspects. One was local resident Voldemort Gillstrom, who was known to be aggressive towards campers. Now, what exactly does that mean? As I read this, I want to do a little more research. I couldn't find anything on it.
I hate campers.
Yeah, exactly. In the end, there was no evidence to show it was Gillstrom, and his wife claimed he was in bed at Lake Boom Boom at the time. However, oh no, he's just in bed. I'm sorry, doing the boom boom. Very different. I'm sorry. All right. However, confusing's the word. This is the easiest story that I'm screwing up. However,
Marty's so thankful I didn't give him the story with all
it's an easy one. There's no hard words.
Thank you, Dave.
However, confusing things further, Gillstrom suffered from mental health problems and wrote a suicide note 9 years later, and guess what he put in it? A confession to the murders.
Oh.
However,
for those pesky campers.
What?
However, the next
more
suspect was Hans Gruber. Oh no.
No.
Oh,
this name's even better.
This is even worse.
Are you ready?
Guys,
to him.
I wish this was a lie. His name was Hans Osman. A-S. That was good.
Hans Ass Man.
Oh my gosh.
ASSMANN. Wow. Now, the best part was Mr. Assman himself was a KGB spy who had recently
God.
moved into the area. I mean, how the hell does this happen?
His code name Gasser.
Oh, Lord.
Oh god.
I am Hans Osman. You may call me Zagasa.
Now, here's the best part, though.
Okay.
Police let him go after he claimed to be in Germany at the time. Although they later found out, and recent evidence suggests, he was actually in Finland the morning of the murders. So, to end this terrible story, from the brutal lakeside murders to the creepy suspect description, the event bears a resemblance to Friday the 13th movies. And even if this tragic event wasn't taken as an inspiration, it just goes to show that often the creepiest horror stories are the ones that happen in real life.
When you sent me the story, I did a little bit more digging. And I know people think I'm setting this up for a joke. I am not. So I was looking into this, right? Now, again, we're going to show the picture of Mr. Assman. Well, Nils at first had believed that what he saw in the dark was some dark figure with glowing red eyes. He went through a series of hypnotic regression. And actually, through the regression, he gave the police a description that they made an image of. Now, if you look at these images, for those of you watching along, look at those images and then flash back to Mr. Assman.
Wow, that one on the lower right is him.
Yeah, they're very, very close, right?
Wow.
Now, here's where it gets even weirder. The day of the funeral, there was a photograph taken of the crowd. And in the crowd, that one face stands out. Now, look at that face and look at the images that were drawn. That is definitely a weird, unique face. And
That
once
is
you've
creepy.
seen an ass man in person,
Yeah.
you will never forget them. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
You'll never forget them.
Oh, I thought you said you'll never hit them.
No, not that at all. Come on.
Okay.
Keep this thing clean, Eric.
Oh, it's a family show. Family.
It's
know.
not a dirty
All
word.
right. Speaking of family, let's bring another family member into the fold with us. Cheryl has been here since we started tonight. and
Yay,
she hung
Cheryl.
I know.
in. Hey, Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Why, thank you.
Cheryl, your name's not Ass Man, is it?
No.
All right,
it's
just
Cheryl.
checking.
No, just checking.
Just Cheryl. She's like
Just
Cher and Bono. Just Cheryl.
Just Jack.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Cheryl. So where are you calling us in from?
Well, I'm actually in Missouri now, not too far from Springfield, Missouri, about an hour, but I just had to say that.
We need to do a story on this.
I know, right?
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
But I have had so many incidences throughout my life, but I picked on one from a childhood home in Minnesota where I grew up.
Ooh.
And it's the day my sister disappeared. We live in this smaller home. It was kind of, I don't want to say really demonic, but it was an evil house. The knocking, the banging, the pushing of this, on up and down the stairs, water turning on and off. And it was the early 80s. And I was probably about 13-ish. My sister was about 8, 9 years old. And we were supposed to be doing our Saturday chores at summertime. And Mom's like, "Where's Jane? She's nowhere to be found." And I said, "I don't know." So I went upstairs in our room. I'm looking for her. She's nowhere to be found. I look in the closets. I look under the bed. I go, "She's not up there." "Well, we got to find her." So I go to the park. I go to the neighbors. We're looking all over. And I remember on her bed was a sleeping bag that was rolled up on the end of the bed. So we had made our beds and whatever. So we looked and looked for about 30 minutes plus. And so at this time, my mom's getting a little worried because she is younger. But back in the 80s, you roamed the neighborhood. It didn't matter. And Mom's like, "We're going upstairs one more time. We're going to find her. She's got to be up there." And when we went up there, she was on her bed in the sleeping bag, dead asleep. It's summer, sweating. And when we woke her up, it's like, when you're in the REM sleep and you get awakened. So she didn't just pop in there and pretend she was sleeping. She was out. I mean, just out.
That's
And
crazy.
we had
Like
no
a
idea
time
where
slip.
she was. Yeah. And I sent her a message earlier tonight and she goes, "It's scary because I have no idea what happened. And then, but the house was horrible. It was a horrible house.
Well, you can't leave. You're our last storyteller for the night, so we'll give you a little bit more juice to go. We've only got a couple
Okay.
stories left for the news. What do you mean it was a horrible house? What other kind of weird things happened?
My sister, so the upstairs bedroom was just myself and Jane, and my sister was sleeping up there because her room was too scary, and she levitated, and she realized she was levitating, so she started repeating the Lord's Prayer, and these little things she says was poking at her neck, and then she fell. And so there was that. We had a dog. It was a poodle, and the dog would run up the stairs and bark and growl. You know, a poodle doesn't get violent, and gnaw at the door and scratch and keep on barking at nothing. And at the time, my niece was maybe a year, 10 months old, and she had a bunny, and she'd call it Bobby only when she was in the house. When she was out of the house, it was just Rabbit. But when she was in the house, it was Bobby, and she would watch stuff come down the stairs.
Oh,
And
no.
it was crazy. And the banging, the bam, bam, bam.
Is that the house here in Minnesota?
That's down in Albert Lee, yeah.
Do you still have that address? I would love to go do a drive-by and see if, maybe even knock on the door and talk to the family living there.
Yeah, I don't know, because the people before us, a friend of my sister's babysat for, and she said the little girl would sit in those closets off the bedroom in a rocking chair and just choke her dolls. And then the people that lived there after us, my aunt says, hey, my brother-in-law used to live there. Do you have weird stuff? He goes, what are you talking about? And she says, well, they just had weird things. And he's like, man, I wish you wouldn't have told me that, because we just kind of been trying to make up what's going on. But yeah, it's Pillsbury Avenue was the street. The actual address I don't really remember. 7 something.
Wow.
But I was only
7
13.
something Pillsbury and Albert
Yeah.
Lee. That's enough. I'll find it. I'll just knock at every house with a 7 in it.
It was a smaller home.
Oh, you might recognize me. I'm TV's Dave Schrader, and I'm wondering if you have strange things happening in your home.
And you might, maybe it's torn down, but supposedly the house was built from wood from another house. You always got to find a connection as to why am I seeing this? What is happening? What would be in this house? But my sister would get pushed up the stairs. Water would
up is
turn
always
on.
better than down.
Yeah. I just remember she kind of flew into the kitchen, and she turns around, knock it off. And I'm like, what? I'm in the kitchen. She thought it was me behind her, just pushing her up the stairs.
Matthew Johnson makes a good point. I want a nice haunted house where the spirits just do the housework.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Sign me up for that. Holy cow. Well, come back, Cheryl. Tell us more of your strange tales in the future. Would you do that?
Oh, I have a ton of them. So
awesome.
Well, thank
you,
Cheryl.
All right,
Nice
thank
job,
you.
Cheryl.
Nice job,
so much.
Cheryl.
Thanks for being our last contributor. What's funny is I put out a call on social media, and I'm like, if you have a scary story, email me, Dave at paranormal60.com. I'll send you a link. And of course, most of the people told me the story in that post or sent me a message on Facebook. I'm like, great, if you want to be a part of the show tonight. So I sent out about a dozen of them. I'm glad we got 5, 6 good people here tonight that shared their stories. But we'd love to hear from you guys in the future. So if you have a story to share, email me, Dave at paranormal60.com, and let me know if you'd be willing to come on live and share it like all the great people that did tonight. All right, Martin, we are coming into the end round. This is your final story of the evening. No pressure. It better be good.
Well, too much worse than me.
Yeah.
No, this is a good one. I know, because this is what we're basing this whole episode on. There's something under the bed. This is creepy.
So let me see. I know, Eric, you have kids, right? And I don't remember, Dave, if you have
you guys live like a mile away from each other. You're over there all the time seeing his daughter. You have kids, right, Eric?
Yeah.
I bet she feels special now.
not.
Thanks, Marty.
Yeah. You might just be clarifying it's not a ghost.
That's
might be
right.
Because your house is kooky haunted.
Well, Dave, if you've had kids, and I can't recall if you have or not.
I've had a few, just a couple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
During those first few months, having the baby sleep in a crib or a bassinet in your room is essential.
Oh, yeah. I miss those days.
The night feedings alone are reason enough, but new parents also like to keep little ones close in case of emergencies too.
Right.
But what if the danger isn't something you can see with your own eyes? Parents of a newborn baby are currently dealing with that reality. When after they reviewed footage of their baby sleeping in their room throughout the night, they noticed something bone-chilling. Blink and we swear you'd almost miss it. The parents provided 2 angles for the non-believers, one showing the entirety of the room while the other was focused on the baby. In the panned out angle, it looks like an ordinary night with parents sleeping in the bed and the baby snoozing in her cot. But when you look at the baby close-up camera, you can see the sheet slightly tugging, even though on the bigger camera, no one else is in the room. Then you see what looks like a small hand peek into the crib and pull away quickly. I sent you a videotape on that, Dave.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's all
Let's
I can
watch
say.
this. Yeah, let's watch this. And now, for those of you watching, as you're watching your screen, the activity takes place on the left side of the screen, on that side of the bed. This is a weird one. So it's a nice, peaceful night. Very small room. Holy cow!
Yeah.
You're seeing the baby sleep. Now, from that position, I want you to know the head of the baby is in one corner, his feet closer to the parents.
Oh, what is that?
They're showing that there's nothing underneath the bed. But now watch, the mattress almost seems to be breathing.
It looks.
It's flexing up. Now it starts to get creepy. Do you see the fingers coming up from
Oh my
underneath the
God.
mattress? Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
What
messed
the
up.
What the flip? Now the dad wakes up in the video. He hears something and he wakes up and kind of rolls over and takes a look at it. But that to me is so chilling. So chill. Let me get it right to that point again. I'm gonna play this one more time because that's just so bizarre. Maybe I'm gonna play it again. Who knows? There we go. I'll speed it up a little bit here. So now you see the mattress kind of expanding, like something's underneath it, pushing it up slowly. There is, oh, you know what I forgot to mention in this too? Let's take this back to the beginning. Here's the one image. Now, when they show the parents' room, when that little both camera thing, you see a shadow dart back by the door. Watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So there was like a shadow that moved, but obviously no way to get underneath the bed. And then that mattress starts to push up right there. Oh, the baby at least is sleeping soundly.
Yeah.
Never moves. Never moves. Yeah.
Never moves. But it makes you wonder if the dad hadn't woken up and rolled over right now as these fingers start grabbing onto the mattress, right? Watch the father. Suddenly he turns around. He's like, what's going on? And the fingers retract.
But, Dave, those fingers don't look like normal fingers, though. They kind of look like
Vienna sausages.
Vienna sausages. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's weird.
That is creepy.
Those
Yeah,
parents had a boom boom bed too. Do you see how small that thing was?
Oh,
Was it
man,
my-
you have to really love your partner to sleep in a twin.
That was
Oh,
tiny.
yeah.
The baby's
Yeah.
crib was bigger than it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
that
was.
is- oh, dude, I can't even
That's
tell you.
creepy.
Listen, all right, now I've got to, you know how you watch a scary movie when you're a kid and then you got to kind of watch like a Three Stooges afterward to clear the palate? Now that we've
Right.
seen something chilling, because it's my show, I'm going to show you what could be the cutest video ever by a granddaughter. Are you ready for this? So
Sure.
my granddaughter's left alone in the car while her mom runs back into the house to get something, and they just missed a phone call. So my granddaughter picks up the phone and hits record, and this is what they get.
Hey. Hey, it's me. Whoever you are, that mom just called you, whoever you are, or daddy, or mama, or grandma, or Grandpa Joe, or anybody, or Grandpa Dave, or anybody this is called, it's like, man, whoever you are, then just call me back. I message you. I love you so much. Whoever you called, whoever my mom called, then please call back. Okay? When I'm done messaging. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Oh,
Wow.
that's awesome.
Is that not
Wow.
the cutest video? Does that not clear the palate of creepy Vienna sausage fingers trying to abduct a baby?
It does. It does.
I message you. When I'm done messaging you, call me back. I love you. I love you. I love you. That is some commitment. Oh my God.
Although I think Kingdom of Bart had a good one here. He said, "Ouch, second listed grandpa. That's gotta hurt."
Oh, wow.
Bart's on
Bart.
fire tonight.
You saw the sparkle in her eye when she's like, Grandpa Dave, that's the answer. She knew. I don't take it personally. All right, let's jump to our next story. This is a bizarre one. Army veterans claim that they were told to keep your mouth shut after a scary UFO encounter. Everyone from Navy personnel to Air Force technicians and pilots to civilian pilots and airline passengers are now more than willing to risk the scorn that was previously associated with speaking out about UFOs. 3 such men, former cavalrymen in the United States Army, recently spoke to dailymail.com about their experience in dealing with UFOs. The 3 Army veterans claim that while stationed at an American military base in the Middle East in 2014, they saw 8 bright objects in the sky over Sinai, hovering and flying at speeds they had never seen before. Sergeant Travis Bingham, an E4 specialist, Vishal Singh, and Private First Class Dovell Engram of the 3rd Cavalry, part of the multinational force and observers mission, say their UFO encounter took place at Observation Post 3-1 in Sinai near the south end of the Israeli-Egypt border. Engram says the incident had him scared poopless by the craft in the sky that appeared to be spinning as smaller lights emerged from it, which seemed to spiral like fireworks. Now, another outpost located 200 miles away also said that they had seen the object in the sky. I would describe it as a big object with several smaller objects, which appeared to be communicating or scuffling like a dogfight in the air. We knew it wasn't our military, and it was baffling, said Bingham. The objects were glowing. You could clearly see them with the naked eye, and it was clear how fast they were moving. To this day, I've never seen anything like that craft covering such a distance with extreme speeds. Singh said that he tried to identify the UFO using night vision goggles, but said that the edges of the UFO were moving so fast, they were nothing but blurry. How about them apples? You guys like apples? How about them apples?
Those are good apples.
Yeah. The craft and the smaller objects began moving like fireflies, left, right, up, down. He said they moved all around. I can't imagine any military that has this type of technology, according to these experts. Very strange. And speaking of strange, Eric, you always like to bring us one of the most bizarre and unusual stories. And tonight you might have outdone yourself, son. What's our next tale?
This is a love story, Dave. We don't have a lot of these on the show.
No, we don't. We need more.
This one is going to pull at your heartstrings for sure.
Okay.
Everybody grab your glass. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Here we go.
Okay.
A woman who is dating an invisible alien who abducted her from her London flat says he's better in bed than any Earthman and urges all women to find intergalactic lovers.
Wow.
Woo.
Oh.
There she is. If you're watching us here in the video, there she is. Actor Emanuela Rose, formerly known as Abby Bella, who lives in East London, said on English TV program This Morning, she first met the alien after posting on Instagram about how she would rather date someone from a different planet than go on another Tinder date.
Synchronicity coming.
Here we go. Everybody get ready.
Oh, yeah.
She claims she was later abducted from her Canary Wharf flat by a UFO that enveloped her in a beam of yellow light. Once on board, she met the alien crew before being introduced to her invisible lover, Emanuela, who changed her name to reflect the aliens, says they have been dating for a year and now want to wed. That's true love.
That is.
Emanuela, who said aliens do not have a human form and are invisible to the eye, appeared on the show with blow-up green alien and said that the inflatable is just a placeholder and a symbolic representation of her partner.
Wow.
Sure.
Think about that.
It's love.
I might get a couple symbolic representations. I like that.
You're going to leave some blow-up versions of you for Nikki back home?
How cool would that be? When the This Morning co-host, damn it,
Oh, God, have a drink.
co-host. How hard is the word host?
Apparently pretty bad.
Pretty difficult. Holly
Words is hard.
Willoughby asked whether
Yep.
the pair share a physical relationship. Emanuela replied, "If you're tired of men, I recommend the aliens."
You what? You recommend?
Recommend.
Wow.
I
That's
hate
such a
words.
hard word. Words.
I hate
are
Words is hard.
hard.
Yeah. Recommend.
If you're tired of men, I recommend the aliens. How can I put this? She said. The aliens are loving light and pure like energy. So we can't even go all the way that he can go because it would kill me.
Look at the face of the co-host.
He's like,
Look at these two images.
Did
And
you
the
hear
first one,
that?
he's like, huh,
If
yeah,
they
it could
went
kill
as
her.
far as he can go, it would kill her. She added, compared to Earthmen, it's like times a million. As well as discussing their love life, yes, I screwed up discussing, Emanuela revealed she wanted more commitment from her partner and said he too is ready to take the relationship further.
wow, look at that.
Love
Here we
and
go.
marriage, love and marriage.
He did try and propose, but I'm
Oh,
pretty traditional, she said. So I want a ring, and he doesn't really know what that is.
Wow.
So I said I wanted
that old ploy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what a ring is. I don't want to get married.
So I said I wanted like a big rock, and he got me some pebbles from the beach. Like, just doesn't get it. So
No.
basically, he has no earth money. So I'm just hoping maybe over time we can save up the money together.
Well, being the crack reporters we are,
Mhm.
I contacted Emmanuel, the alien, and I said, hey, buddy, is this going to happen? Are you going to really marry this woman and make an honest earthling of her? And his response was very clearly, oh, it's happening. It's definitely happening. And because we love on this show, I want you to know that the three of us, sans Greg, because he's too busy out doing what he's doing, we pooled our money together today. We went out together as a collective, and we picked these out for the married couple. What do you think?
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
think they're appropriate.
That's
Definitely.
right. That's what do you think, Emmanuel? Is that going to cinch the deal? Oh, it's happening. It's definitely happening. Congratulations to those
Beautiful.
kids.
Love.
Oh, that was very
Your gift is
sweet.
in the mail.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what that story reminds me of?
Dumbest news of the day.
That's
Is
like
that
2
like-
weeks in a
I
row
was going to say
for
it's 2 or
Eric.
3 weeks in a row for me.
It's not your fault, Eric. You're only reporting the news. The tale itself is so stupid, but it
But you
needs
know-
to be told.
But Eric has that courage to put forth those stories where
Mhm.
other people like me would never have touched it.
No,
And
no.
I gotta give a lot of respect to that. Respect. or
Eric's
how do I say
very
that?
in touch with himself. He, as a matter of fact, touches himself way too often.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I could be wrong. Hey, I want to thank all of you guys and
You're not.
gals for tuning in, and I want to thank all of the listeners that joined us tonight on the program. It was great to have you here with us, and we'd love to have you. That's right, you. I'm talking to you right now, watching this either in rerun form or still live. Email me, Dave at paranormal60.com. That's Dave at paranormal60.com. And I will put you in a little folder. And the next time we're going to do a live show, I'll send you an email with a link, and you can join us and share your ghosts, demon, Ouija board, psychic phenomena, aliens, married an alien, Bigfoot, married an alien, Bigfoot. I don't care. We want to hear your weird stories right here on the show. So let's just take a moment to remember our fallen comrade, Greg Lawson. I mean, he's not dead. He just fell. And now, he's on his way back.
He's
So-
okay, right?
Oh, yeah. As far as we know.
He falls all the
Yeah.
time. So
yeah.
so-
Yeah. He's
At that age, yeah, that's gonna
yeah,
happen.
oh, yeah, yeah.
all right. That's it from your lead anchor, Dave Schrader, the Colonel himself, Martin Valles, and our very own Chachi, Eric Folsom.
Still here.
We'll be back again with you next week right here on the best in paranormal programming. This is the 60-Minute News. The Paranormal 60 News is brought to you in partnership with the Kingdom of Bart. And this is a Words is Hard production.